What's up, you guys? My name is Jacob Darkblade, and today I'll be talking about things you need to know about Chyna. In her career, she's done many things. Well, in her lifespan, because recently today, April 20th, 2016. Well, I'm sorry, April 21st, 2016. Well, I'm not too stupid. Chyna was confirmed dead very early this morning. Now, she's done many things. Some I will not get to because I want a PG show for this one. Now, if I get enough feedback to say they want the other information, I will make a separate. Now, I'm just kidding. I'm not doing a separate video. I'm keeping this PG. Now, I'm not going to put that information because it is kind of inappropriate for what my purpose is for this video. And I know there are people a lot younger. I mean, there might be people a lot younger that watch these videos. So I'm just going to keep it very neutral and not bad. So we're going to start with that she nearly joined WCW to be part of the NWO. For those that didn't know, that back at that time, Ted Turner was owned WCW, and it was the Monday Night Wars in which the World Wrestling Federation's Monday Night Raw was going against WCW's Monday Nitro for the ratings, and they were having many superstars coming in, coming out, leaving, joining, and all that in between. Now, as we start that, go away, sugar. Okay, that was my cat. I'm gonna read what it states here. I'm pretty much gonna read it all. I'll have the link. I get this all from What Culture in the description. Having met Shawn Michaels and Hunter, aka Triple H, at the WWF show in 1996, the DX duo were impressed by the structures of Joanne Lure. After checking out some tapes of her in action, Michaels and Hunter went straight to the top, straight to Vince Kennedy McMahon, and put a case toward bringing Joanne as a bodyguard for D-Generation X. The thing was, Vinnie Mac wasn't particularly keen on bringing the imposing Lawler, as despite her impressive physique, McMahon didn't think the audience would buy a female beating up some of his male roster. Whilst Vince hesitated on the matter, Joanne was approached by World Championship Wrestling. The WCW plan was to bring her as a female enforcer for the New World Order. It apparently got to the stage where Laura actually accepted the offer to join Ted Turner's wrestling company. AKA, that's what Ted Turner called it. He didn't call it wrestling, he called it wrestling. Which I don't know why. I think it was because he was Southern. I'm not saying that all Southern people say wrestling instead of wrestling. I'm just stating that. The WCW deal would fall through when Joanne immediately turned the Atlanta-based promotion down after getting word from Shane McMahon and that the then WWF were about to make her an offer, and so they did, with her signing on and becoming the muscle for the villainous Hunter Hearst Helmsley. Another variation of the story is that Killer Kowalski, Joanne's former trainer, introduced her to Shane and tipped the younger McMahon off on WCW entrance on Laura. Now I'm going to go to the next one. Next one. Can you load any faster? Yeah. So basically, WCW saw an opportunity to make her an offer whenever she was rejected by Vince. Can this load any faster? Okay, here we go. This is kind of going into the last one I said. That she was trained by Killer Kowalski. As touched on the first part of this feature, Joanne wrestling training came courtesy of Waldreck Killer Kowalski, the man who also resembled portraying the King of Kings, Triple H. The then 25-year-old attended Kowalski's Madden, Massachusetts wrestling school back in 1995 before going on to do some independent shows and eventually winding up on the World Wrestling Federation roster. If Kowalski is to be believed, he ended up playing a role in Joanne getting hired by Vince Kennedy McMahon and World Wrestling Federation. Okay, next. Her very first match was against a man dressed as a woman. Yeah, imagine that. A woman whooping a guy's butt. Details are vague to say the least, but story goes that Joanne's first ever professional wrestling match was in 1995 and actually against a man in drag dressed to look like a woman. The build was Joanne Lee. It's unknown who the performer she went up against actually was. Using the Joanne Lee name, Laurier would then go to work the independent circuit, including some matches arranged by the Legis Fabulous Moolah, and would face off against Violet Flame in the IWF. She also competed in the PGWA, where she named Female Rookie of the Year in 1996. And her actual in-ring WF debut came on non-televised match on April 28, 1998, teaming with Triple H, Billy Gunn, and Road Dogg to take on Animal, Hawk, Skull, and 8-Ball. Her televised in-ring debut came on September 14, 1998, when she teamed with X-Pac in the losing effort against Mark Henry. Now, here's one you guys might really not know. She has a degree in Spanish literature. Despite the hulking frame and vicious in-ring actions, Joanne often comes across very well in interviews, and she's seemingly a highly intelligent person. Granted, there are interviews from the time period where she had having personal issues and drug problems. Those interviews weren't quite so intelligent or coherent. At one point, having served in the U.S. Army Reserve Officer Training Corps and the Peace Corps, not mentioned harboring a bomb, I don't know what that word is, of joining the FBI, Federal Engagement Group. There's a lot more to Joanne than some of the more extreme stories that you may hear. Having finished her last year of high school in Spain, Joanne studied Spanish literature at the University of Tampa, graduating with a 3.9 GPA, and also learning to speak Spanish, German, and French. Now, she is the first ever woman to compete in the Royal Rumble and King of the Ring. In terms of groundbreaking actions, after starting off merely interfering in Triple H matches and then progressing into competing in matches, chyna made some serious waves in the World Wrestling Federation. After winning a corporate Rumble on Monday Night War, which also includes superstars such as Triple H, Kane, Ken Shamrock, and the Ninth Wonder of the World, won the match. Her number 30 spot in the 1999 World Rumble match. She would only just last over 30 seconds in the match itself after being eliminated by Stone Cold Steve Austin. Later in 1999, chyna would then be part of the King of the Ring tournament, defeating Val Venus in the first round before losing to Road Dogg in the quarterfinals. Now, she has been Intercontinental Champion and number one contender for the WWF title. Not content with competing in the Royal Rumble and the King of the Ring, Chyna actually went on to claim singles gold for herself. And no, not the Women's Championship, although that did follow later. Instead, she went after the Intercontinental title. After 1999's No Mercy pay-per-view, Chyna would defeat Jeff Jarrett in a good housekeeping match to win the Intercontinental Championship and also serve it service of Miss Kitty. This is a match that Jeff Jarrett ended up getting paid $300,000 for by Vince McMahon, as his contract had been technically expired the day before the show, and he didn't want to lose clearly to a woman. Lose cleanly. Wow. Where's my brain today? Lose cleanly to a woman. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is just part of the reason that the now WWE is not the found of Double J. That's Jeff Jarrett. Chyna would go on to become two-time Intercontinental Champion after pinning Trish Stratus in an intergender tag match to take the belt from Val Venus. At one time, Chyna was also classed as a three-time Intercontinental Champion after her and Chris Jericho had a run as co-holders of the title. This third reign has since been wiped off the records, and instead that period now just counts as part of Y2J's second Intercontinental title run. Even more impressive than winning the Intercontinental title, there was actually a point in time where Chyna became the number one contender for Stone Cold Steve Austin's WWF title, as in being the biggest prize in the business. Could you imagine somebody like Natalya, Paige, or AJ Lee butting heads with Brock Lesnar over the WWE title? That's what currently it's now Roman Reigns, but over the WWE title. That's what we're talking about here. As Chyna was getting a huge response from the crowd to the extent that the only choice was to have her flirt with the main event picture, the fact that the main event picture was dominated by arguably the greatest drawing performer in the history of professional wrestling, Steve Austin, is the only testament to where Joanne had got to with her career at that point. This all happened before the Intercontinental belt came into the picture, as Chyna was originally due to face Austin in SummerSlam 1999. As it would happen, she would end up losing her spot in the match to Mick Foley, who would go on to leave the event as WWF champion. If you believe certain stories, there are supposedly very serious consideration to having Chyna win the WWF championship at one point in 1999. It's moments like these that make you just realize how much an impact on the industry Joanne had at one stage of the game. Okay, just to clarify, I haven't clarified this yet. Jennifer is Chyna's real name. Now, can we go on? Now, we're going to go on to, here number 7, but it's probably about 10 for me if we were going down from 15 to 1. But I'm not going to give up 15. Chyna is actually was in a relationship with Triple H. This is one of the most commonly known facts on this list, although some newer fans to the WWE product may not be aware of it. But yes, before Triple H was in a relationship with Stephanie McMahon, he was in a relationship with Chyna. The pair reportedly dated between 1996 and 2000, although initially the relationship was kept under wraps to the fears that some may have thought Chyna had slept her way to the position of the card. Chyna and the game lived together at one point, and Joanne was previously saying how the particularly actually got engaged during an on-screen McMahon-Helmsley angle. What is often disputed to whether that there is a crossover from Triple H Chyna to Triple H Steph. According to Chyna, Hunter and Stephanie were having an affair. Willis, the cerebral assassin, was still with the ninth wonder of the world. Comments from Chyna have also suggested that Vince McMahon knew about the whole thing. After the real-life Triple H, Chyna, Stephanie love triangle came to a head, Vince told Chyna to go home and have a break from the road. Her WWF contract was near expiring and was never renewed. WWF and Chyna officially parted ways in November 2001. Skipping that. Okay. Nope. Come on. More. Here we go. For those that don't know what New Japan World Wrestling is and TNA Impact, I suggest you guys go look that up because as this one has to do with this. She appeared in New Japan Pro Wrestling and TNA. This is another fact. Many presume that when Chyna left the then WWF in late 2001, she left the pro wrestling business altogether. Instead, she was actually in a wrestling ring as recently as 2011. Following her role with Vince McMahon's company, Joanne made some appearances in New Japan Pro Wrestling throughout 2002. Debuting for New Japan World Wrestling, Pro Wrestling at their 30th anniversary show, she served as the referee in a tag match between the Steiner brothers and Hiroshi Touch. I am going to butcher this name more than a butcher who cuts stuff. Hiroshi Tanahashi and Kensei Sasaki. She would then go on to become an in-ring competitor before having her final New Japan match as part of the tag team along with the fake Great Muta. The Ninth Wonder of the World would then go to appear on TNA briefly in 2011, where the storyline was Mick Foley bringing her into a tag match with Kurt Angle against Jeff Jarrett and Karen Jarrett at the company's Sacrifice pay-per-view. Now here's one that's not WWE related. One of three, I believe. The story goes that Joanne was one. Oh, this is that. She was up for the female lead in Terminator 3. The story goes that Joanne was at one point in concentration for a role in 2003's Terminator 3: Rise of the Machines, soon to be the lead female role in the picture. Okay. Christina Loken ended up taking the role of the female Terminator in that film, and Laura was actually gone on record to say how she blames Vince McMahon for her not landing the gig. After the 2001 departure from the WWF, Laura claims that McMahon essentially shot her down with several companies in the Hollywood circles, with her saying that the fallout of his was her not getting a chance to butt heads with Arnold Schwarzenegger in T3, aka Terminator 3. Skipping that one. Come on, don't wanna. Here's the final one. This is the final one to wrap up this things you need to know. She moved to Japan to teach English. Having encountered the World Wrestling experience and had battles with her demons, Joanne Laura decided a new path was to be forged, and she moved to Japan to teach English, having butted heads with some Goliaths of the squared circle. You'd think that dealing with a group of kids is a walk in the park in comparison. The exact deal on Joanne's teaching career are hazy, and it's believed that the age group she was teaching is grammar school children. Laura was still working in Japan as the end of 2014 and believes she's still there at present, which now she's died. Some of the more recent comments on Joanne have been through social media, interviews, or video blogs, seem to find her in a fair, happier place where she's been many a year, and she seemed to be found form of peace and from the darker elements of life. Whether Joanne eventually ends up in the Hall of Fame at some point, that remains to be seen. For what she's accomplished in Vince McMahon's organization and the barriers that she smashed through, undoubtedly she deserves a spot in the Hall of Fame. Big question is whether powers that have been at Titan Towers and can pass some of Joanne's post-WWF life. Now, that's some things you need to know about Chyna. Now I want to give a brief thing of what about this stuff. About some stuff like they don't really eventually say, and that I want to say. Okay. Now they did say she posted a role to Generation X, and they did say they were actually a couple. Now, Chyna was actually a big part of D-Generation X by being one of the founding fathers of D-Generation X, being with Chyna, Triple H, Shawn Michaels, and somehow X-Pac. But yeah. And also they do say she is the ninth wonder of the world for her physique and her accomplishments. And yeah, it's sad to see that such a big thing for World Wrestling Entertainment has gone, knowing that Chyna, even though the reason she's not been put in the Hall of Fame earlier is because of her what WWE calls problems. But I expect her to be put in the Hall of Fame because that's what's best. Now, this has been things you should know about Chyna. Rest in peace, Chyna. And basically, see you guys later. Peace out.